Reiki Ayola is a Welsh actress who's starred in shows such as Black Mirror, Noughts and Crosses, Doctor Who, and Silent Witness. But she was on the BBC this week promoting new TV drama, The Pact. Take a look at this surprising question she was asked.
There are some people who will see this and they'll say that this is a woke version of a Welsh family. I can see you rolling your eyes. Tell me.
If anybody wants to say that to me, what I would say first is explain what you mean by woke and then we can have the conversation. If you can't explain it, don't hand me that word. Don't use a word you cannot describe because you don't know what you mean. Or maybe you know exactly what you mean and you're afraid to say what you mean. So let's have that conversation. Not even afraid, you daren't. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Sit there and tell me what you mean by woke. And then we can talk about whether this show is woke or not, because then I will introduce you to a family just like this one. So are you saying they don't exist when they clearly do? Are you saying that they're not allowed to exist? What do you mean by that? Let's have a proper conversation. Don't throw words around willy-nilly when you're not afraid to say exactly what you mean. If you don't know, please be quiet because you are incredibly boring.
You're incredibly boring is such a good way to end that answer. Obviously, incredibly impressive answer. Lots of people, I think very understandably, got annoyed at the host for asking that question. It's worth saying that Reiki Ayola has responded herself by tweeting this. Thanks for the question, Victoria at BBC Breakfast. That's the host. No apology wanted or needed. Believe me, if I felt differently, you'd know. A loaded question maybe, but I got to say on national TV what I've been saying to Adams Met 66 in our kitchen for months. I'm glad it struck a chord. It's Adam Smethurst, who I imagine is her partner, perhaps. Ash, what did you make of that exchange?
I'm really glad to see it pulled out into the open that one of the ways that the word woke functions is as a euphemism for black or for diverse. So when you're talking about something being too woke, what you basically mean is, I think I'm seeing too many people of colour here in a setting where I don't expect to see them. And that's one of the functions of political correctness, moral panics, is that what it offers are synonyms and euphemisms which can conceal your racist subtext or your racist intention with plausibly deniable phraseology. And so to see Reiki Ayola pull that into the realm of the said, the text rather than the subtext, I thought was really brilliant. What was really funny to me in kind of a dark way was the utter inanity of the BBC presenter Victoria. So when Ayola was turning the question back, going, do you understand what I'm saying? She was going, yeah. But of course she didn't. She didn't understand that that was a criticism of her own line of questioning and the way in which she's hiding behind the racist sentiment of others in order to give it the legitimacy of being asked on the BBC. Because of course, if what she'd said is what was really being asked, which is people would say that a Welsh family can't be black, that would be absurd and self-evidently ridiculous and offensive thing to ask somebody on morning television. But when you cloak it in the word woke, you normally get to take the coward's way out of hiding behind that plausible deniability that I described. So I am so glad that this just got pulled out into the open, and I hope to see more people doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a good answer because there is no, you said, what do you mean by woke? Is the family depicted in that show? Do they are they constantly cancelling each other? Is the mother always cancelling the child or the other way around? What other meanings of woke could there be? Are they always tiptoeing around? You know, they're worried about what they're saying. I don't think that features in the show. So the only option you are saying, as you say, Ash, is, are you saying we're too black to be Welsh? And the actress is Welsh. Obviously, there are lots of Welsh black families. So the idea, this shouldn't be on our screens because it's too woke, is you wouldn't say, are you too black to be Welsh, which is what the question meant. I think it is a difficult balance as a journalist, as a host, to say, do you ask an awkward question to prompt an answer? You know, in a way, it's a cop-out. Some people are saying this is too woke. Do you want a chance to respond to that? And then, something productive happened, but at the same time, it is an offensive question.
This is a discussion which is happening across the media about casting decisions, whether it's about something like The Rings of Power or House of the Dragon, which are two of the biggest series on television right now, or, kind of smaller audience shows which are intended to reflect the changing demographics of the country that it depicts. These casting questions about, is it realistic to cast people of color are happening in a much more direct way all of the time. And there's many ways in which you can pose that question. And obviously some people say, well, family can't be black. If you say that in a way which lends legitimacy to the question, that's obviously a ridiculous way to do it. But if you ask a question and you say, okay, there's been some backlash along these grounds, how does that make you feel? What do you think about the place that that's coming from? Does that worry you in terms of what roles and parts you take on? That's a way which sort of says, okay, well, we recognize that people who have melanin are allowed to appear on camera, but that it's occurring within a political context, which means that you do get a kind of backlash about it. I think that's a perfectly legitimate line of questioning. And to sort of, again, hide behind the plausible deniability, one of the things that it does is that it lends legitimacy to the idea that you can just object to the presence of people of color because you're not objecting to seeing a black person or an Asian person or whoever it may be. You're objecting to woke ideology. What that does is that it creates space for racists to hide, and you don't actually get to the question about casting and backlashes against diverse casting.